Black Youth, Message to Black Youth in America video. Hopefully I'll be done with it tomorrow. But that's coming in the next couple of days. So I'll be posting that, and I want you to share that with all of the young people in your life. But support what I'm trying to do. I think that this compilation of information that I'm about to give you is worth a donation. And if you feel something from it, if you benefit something from it, then please let's make this relationship reciprocal and respect my hustle and respect what I'm saying hustle, not like I'm trying to hustle you, but hustle like I got a son, I got a life. You know what I'm saying? I don't work for nobody. I gotta get it to take care of us. So respect that, and let's make this reciprocal. I've been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube where, you know, we got brothers and sisters that are in the community that do these videos or that are out in the streets working, that are really kind of tired of putting their back into this work and going out of their way to, you know, help us, and they're not getting the respect from the people. So, like I told my brother on the phone the other day, you know, if I have 80,000 followers on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all these, you know, if I compile the numbers and there's 80,000 total, if I can get 500 of that 80,000 to ride with me and to really support me, I'm gonna be straight. That I want to help the people who are serious about changing their lives and about working with the people that are working to change our condition. So if it's 500 out of 80,000, then I'm rocking with you 500. I'd rather be 500 hard than 80,000 soft anyway. All right. So that's my spiel. So you saw the opening video with Oprah Winfrey, which, you know, just we sometimes think that it's just us that's, you know, that's suffering from these different mental and spiritual ailments, that it's just Black people. But no, the world is suffering. There's a lot of ignorant white people in the world. And so I thought that quote was really, I mean, that video was really important, because the video now has like 2 million and something views on YouTube. And of course, I put all the videos, everything, any videos that I post, I always put it in the description. You just have to click the description so you can see it. If you want to go and look at that and look at all the crazy comments and whatnot, and these people actually feel like they are so steadfast in what they believe. So before I get into this, let me read these 2 emails. I got one email from a sister on Facebook. She said, good day, Miss Ali. Let me tell you how proud I am to see a woman of color with some sense of being active. Let me fast forward to the part. She said, my background, I was raised in an apostolic church since birth. Left the church when I was 21. Returned a few years later, left again. You get the picture. I am a spiritual person at heart, and I yearn for knowledge and understanding, though I have a bit of both. I am interested to hear more of the things you believe as I believe. They are connected to a lot of the Bible. I would like to study and research a lot of the things that you have said. They seem unbelievable, but a true believer knows they are completely believable. Peace to you, sis. You know who you are. I'm not going to say your name because you didn't give me permission to. But I get messages like this all the time. And, you know, because she's 21 and she is in, you know, the prime of her life. And I applaud you, sis, for even having the foresight at 21 to start asking questions. Sometimes the answer is not the most important thing. The fact that you actually ask the question, that you hear that voice inside of you that's seeking something bigger, and you know that there's something beyond what you've been taught, is a beautiful thing. So I honor you and appreciate you for reaching out to me, and hopefully I will be able to do your question justice, or your message justice, in what I'm about to say. The other message that I got, and this was a couple of months ago, and I found this really funny. You know, let me just read the message. The sister said, please, the subject, she emailed me, please stop talking out of both sides of your mouth. She said, first, thank you for all your valuable information. I think you have a remarkable platform, and you have made me aware of many things I never knew existed. Thank you for that. All that being said, you talk about God, the Bible, Allah, Muhammad, etc. I personally believe in God and in the Bible. By me believing in that doctrine, I have to believe in Jesus Christ and choose to do so. One minute you talk about God like there's no Jesus or Holy Spirit involved, Then next, you're criticizing people who choose to follow him. If you're going to quote or use the Bible, you can't pick and choose what you want to believe. Either believe the Trinity or something else. You shouldn't be on the fence. You fast a lot, so definitely seeking inner peace. You won't get that until you make up your mind who you're going to serve, or should I say which God. I realize knowledge is gained from all religions, and I believe in a lot of the Muslim doctrine, but I do not serve Allah. We are all in a battle. Again, thanks for all you do, etc. You know who you are, sis, so I'm not going to say your name. But first thing is, anybody, then this is to you, Queen, as well as to some of the other people who have read the comments. Ever since Kendrick Lamar had the verse on his song talking about him being a Hebrew Israelite, and then he also had one of his family members come on and quote Deuteronomy that was talking about us being a cursed people. I'm starting to see a lot of comments on YouTube videos telling people you are an Israelite, and you need to refer yourself as this, and you need to refer to yourself as that. Well, for you, sister, and those brothers and sisters, anybody who goes around trying to tell other people who and what they are, clearly, and this is always how I measure people, has no idea who they are. And I say that as one of those people who used to do that. I used to be on YouTube videos and on social media on some Pan-African, get a white man his Bible back, religion is poison in the masses. I used to be on that type of energy. So I would go out and say the exact same things that people say to me now. I used to have that type of energy. So at that point, I didn't know who I was. So I recognized that same energy coming from you and coming from these different people who think that they have some sort of mastery, if you will, or expertise, let me say, on religion, on the Bible. And it's funny because you don't even know me. You don't know anything about my life. You don't know anything about my upbringing. You don't know anything about who I am. So to somehow try to pinpoint to me as far as who I am or what I should believe, either believe the Trinity or something else. Come on, sis. You know what I mean? You watch my videos, so you should know now. I'm mentally and spiritually established enough to be beyond that. The Trinity, you talking about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Where's the woman?
No. Where's the woman?
You a sister.
You the sister.
They took you out of the picture.
They took you out of the
And then you're going to turn around and tell me to either believe in the Trinity or something else? Come on. You shouldn't be on the fence. The planet is 196,940,000 square miles. Mm-hmm. It's not about being on the fence. You on a fence? I'm talking about the entirety of the universe. So you on the microcosmic level. I'm on the macrocosmic level. And it's all good. Every blade of grass grows at its own particular pace. But the idea that I'm talking out of the sides of my mouth because I respect the elements of Christianity and the elements of the Bible that can benefit me, because I do read and study the Bible, and that can benefit other people. But then I'm also critical of the Bible. That means I'm talking out of the sides of my mouth. No, that means I am an intelligent woman with discernment, and that nobody can just tell me something and I'm going to believe it because they said it. You fast a lot, so definitely seeking inner peace won't get that until you make up your mind on who you're going to serve. How are you going to tell me how I'm going to get inner peace? That right there is like the biggest mistake of any mistake. How could I tell anyone what their path to inner peace is? That's pure ignorance. I don't do that. I may have at one point in time criticized certain aspects of religion, and I'm going to criticize certain aspects of it today. But if that road leads you to freedom, then by all means, go for it. Why do you think I read the Bible? Why do you think I study the Bible? The problem is, y'all take the Bible literally. It's a book of allegory and symbolism. It is not a history book, number one. And it is a book to be looked at for the past and then also to look forward into the future. So we're talking about ideals when we talk about the Bible. Jesus is an ideal. Jesus is a concept. Was he a man that actually lived? Of course he possibly could have lived. I don't think his name was Jesus. I don't know if his name was, Jesus or Yahweh, or I mean, I'm saying this because that conversation about what terms existed at that time, and Hebrew Israelites want to say, well, this letter didn't exist, and I've been through all of those arguments. Like, please, y'all, save your time in the comments. Trust me, I used to be debating, like, for real. Ask people that knew me 5 years ago. Oh, I'd be in the Bible going hard body about this. I don't have time for that now. And not only that, you're talking about inner peace. I'm striving for inner peace. So I don't really care what you believe in or what you think. I'm talking to the 21-year-old sister and the young brothers and sisters and all of our people who feel this mass movement of consciousness, who have access to all of this energy, this information online. Everybody's teaching about African spirituality and, Islam and all of these different Buddhism and everybody got information. And a lot of it lacks substance and it lacks depth. So you're giving people this information and not properly giving them the tools in order for it to become real in their lives. So they're just spewing information. This is what happened then, or this is what happened then, or you should look at this, or you should study this, and rolling off information off their tongues, but not giving people any real sound substance that can change their lives. That's what it's about to me. So the fact that you wrote me this message lets me know that you're not at peace, that you are not safe and established in your own understanding of religion and in your own understanding of yourself, which is more important than the Bible, more important than any of the books, is your experience. But I know from the message that you don't even really know who you are. So all of this information that's being, passed out online, and still people are living in bondage. 1 billion Muslims on the planet. I don't even know the number of Christians, but it's somewhere similar. And people are suffering in untold ways all around this planet. Every religion, people are suffering financially, health-wise. I can't tell you how many. I'm being here in Atlanta. All these sisters be up going to church every single Sunday faithfully at Bible study, and your ankle swollen because you walked from here from your house to your car. How you gonna claim to be a woman or a man of God and you don't even take care of your temple? How you gonna claim to be a man or a woman of God and you don't even utilize the tools that God gave you, your mind, and sharpen your mind every day and study and look at nature and look at all of the beautiful elements that the Creator has given us? You don't even take advantage of the power and the strength of your mind to cultivate it, to strengthen it, so that you can be better every single day, but you claim to be a man or a woman of God. This is the hypocrisy in it. I'm going to show some pictures in just a second. I walk Stone Mountain 2-3 times a week. And I walked Stone Mountain a couple of weeks ago on Good Friday. And I didn't know there was a mock crucifixion on Stone Mountain, right? So I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But as I'm coming down, I'm looking at all the people there was hundreds of people coming down. 80% of the women overweight. These were mostly Latino and white people. A few black people sprinkled throughout the crowd. 80% of the women are overweight. What part of the game is that? So if your religion or your spirituality, and this goes for spirituality too, the flip side of the coin is that, my friend Wise says, some people are so spiritual that they're no earthly good. And I see a lot of these people, oh man, in Atlanta, oh, crystals and onyx everywhere and incense and shea butter, you know what I mean? That whole thing. And then You start talking to them, and it's like, are you there? Like, bruh, I'm being funny, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And then you have I always say that anti-religion is the new religion. So now, the super duper Pan-African, you know what I'm saying, black nationalists, that if you say anything about religion, they automatically start pouncing on you because they feel like the white man's boy or minion because you ascribe to a religion. So all of that factors into the equation. So let me move forward. I'm already at 26 minutes. Um, so Ishaka Musa Shango is one of my favorite teachers. I have a bunch of books surrounding me that I want to tell you guys about, and I'll tell you about them as I go. But Ishaka Musa Shango is one of my favorite African spiritual scholarly gurus on history and all of the things. And this is one of his books that I love. It's called African Genesis, Amazing Stories of Man's Beginnings. I don't know if this book is still in print, but if it is, get it. Because he talks about all of the different ancient indigenous cultures and their perspective of God, and basically makes the correlation with African spirituality. So from Sumer to the ancient Indus Valley, the Dravidians, the ancient black Indians, the original Indians were black, the original Arabs were black, the original everybody was black. And don't write me and tell me that black is a color. Don't, please. um, but this is an excellent book, and more so because I'm into the science of spirituality. I don't do you just tell me something, I just believe it. I'm not wired like that. Even as a child, I was never wired about that. So I need to be able to take the heart and the mind and the brain and the DNA and the genetic makeup and you know what I mean, nature and all of this stuff and put it into a pot and make it make sense for me. So this is one of those books that helped it to make sense for me. Barashango, in one of his videos, I don't remember which one it was, I watch videos and I type them literally, like make transcripts when somebody's saying something really powerful. And Barashango is one of the brothers who was always on point, and I love his work. Him and Asa Hilliard, Ivan Van Sertima is probably my favorite African scholar. But just, I love Barashango. Beautiful, beautiful brother. Big, beautiful personality. But he said, the creator or the divine intelligence, that means that throughout the universe, in every grain of sand, every blade of grass, there is intelligence. All collectively is known as the misnomer God. The most arrogant claim, you can only find this divine intelligence, which keeps the whole planet together, everywhere on earth. You can only find it in their church or synagogue or mosque. That's arrogance. But even worse, they take it and put it between the pages of a book, and you can only find it there. All this power, Sunday morning, that's the only place you can meet it. Everywhere in the universe, but you can only get it from their building. That shows how ridiculous it is for black people to be pitted against one another on the basis of their religion. And that shows how ridiculous and pitiful it was for you, dear queen, dear sister, to send me that message about me talking out the side of my mouth when I am focused on God consciousness and you are focused on one book. You focused on one prophet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to be Christ-like. So even in your misunderstanding, I respect your right to your opinion, and I know that a lot of people have that same frame of mind. But I think you need to up the ante a little bit on opening your mind and exploring different elements and aspects of God. Not Jesus, God. Just focusing on Jesus is like focusing on one type of tree in the rainforest. You know what I'm saying? There's millions of trees, and that's not taking anything away from Jesus. That is just keeping it 100. There's powerful brothers and sisters among us every single day that have the potential to be Christ-like. We're going to take something away from them? Brother Bear Shango said, spirituality is when you are aware of your connection with the total cosmic scheme, the whole universe. You are aware that there is a divine intelligence that governs you, and you seek to come more into understanding and oneness with that intelligence. Religion is the path that you choose to set you in a disciplinary mode to be in harmony with that divine intelligence. So both different concepts have validity. I'm not trying to take that from anyone. But if you're religious, don't try to deny people who choose a path of spirituality. And if you're spiritual, don't try to deny people who choose a path of religion. It's just a matter of you talk about the hearts of men, you know what I mean? What people do when no one is looking. That's what really defines character. That's what defines your connection to the Creator, to me.
In psychology, not philosophy, in psychology, an affirmation, which means stating a positive, without discipline is the beginning of delusion. But an affirmation with discipline is the beginning of you and I performing our own miracles. So the mathematics say that we should not be waiting on a God out there when the God out there is already in here. David says in Psalms 82 verse 6, ye are all gods, children of the, Jesus said in red writing. That's official now. That's red writing. Jesus said, be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven art perfect. Well, who's our Father in heaven? God, right? Paul said it like this, let this mind be in you, the same mind that was in Christ Jesus. Solomon then said in Proverbs that as a man, where? No, they don't say that. As a man haveth in his pocket. As a woman driveth. It don't say that. As a man what? Thinketh in his heart. So is he. So that should let us know that more important than the clothes we wear, the shoes we have on our feet, the car we drive, the house we live in, the money we have in our pocket. More important than all of that is the mind we have inside of our head. The real truth, brothers and sisters, is that you're not a body with a mind in it. You're really a mind with a body wrapped around. If you ever want to know what's wrong with your life, all you got to do is start thinking about what you think about. Because at the end of the day, the mathematics prove that your life is your mind turned inside out. Did you hear me? There's no situation, circumstance, or event that we have not in some shape, form, or fashion either summoned to our existence by what we think or what we did. It's a fact from the cause of self. Hey, I know you say that's just way too much responsibility. Thought Joe was going to come in here and blame the white man today. Let me tell you something. The white man is nothing more than the negative expression of the original people given a physical body to live in. Right. So when you look at the white man, you are looking at nothing more than the worst part of yourself. Right. Did you hear me? Yes, sir. All right.
Truth is the truth, people. And when you hear it, it is what it is. You like it or not, but it's all you got. Well, you can't be stupid about it.
In his book, An Afrocentric Guide to a Spiritual Union, Ra'un Nefer Amen, I've quoted this book before. It's a book that is geared towards, the male-female relationship. I have to give this disclaimer just because I know when I quote books that people go and read them. And just to be clear, I do have a lot of respect for this brother's work. I'm in love with this book right now. I'm studying it every single day, so I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to throw any shade. But his perspective on male-female relationships, he kind of lost me there. So I don't recommend the book from that perspective. I mean, if you may agree with him, it's not my thing. But he's a great scholar in his own right, and obviously I'm quoting him here. He said, the correct insight into the so-called deities of Kemet, or ancient Egypt, will show that the animal-headed gods, and this is the illustration here, right? You see those all the time. White people said that our people were worshiping animals. The animal-headed gods are in reality pictorial symbolizations of the animalistic influences coming from the animal parts of the brain. Incidentally, since they exert an influence and control over our behavior, plus, given the fact that such behaviors do not originate in man or the animals themselves, but are expresses of forces in nature, they were given the titles deities by the Kamau, or the ancient Egyptians. The hawk-headed being depicted here, the deity Heru, symbolizes the trainable predatory hawkishness that governs and shapes, as God does, the behavior of some individuals, while the jackal-headed being, the god Sebek, symbolizes clever, foxy people whose cleverness, when used negatively, betrays their being nourished, on garbage for thought. No, they did not worship these gods. They sat meditating on the qualities of the animals, defining the symbols in order to gain insight into the nature of the animals within their soul or brain. In this way, they gain better control over their behavior. That's what this has to all be about. Governing yourself. If we governed ourselves, we wouldn't be so focused on government. So, if the Bible is teaching you and cultivating you to be able to govern yourself, by all means, I'm all for it. If the Quran, any of the ancient texts, any of the new modern texts, if self-help books are helping you to govern yourself, then that's what it's all about. It says, evil is intrinsically tied up with the animal portions of man's brain. It is the product of allowing the animal faculties to lead our behavior. In other words, our likes and dislikes, pleasures and repulsions are expressions of our animal nature. It is the animal within us that leads when we allow our likes and dislikes to dictate our selection of food, mate, careers, etc. He also goes on to talk about destructive behavior like smoking and doing drugs and whatnot. So when we talk about heaven and hell, understand that we're talking about state of mind. We are talking about a condition, a mental and spiritual and even an emotional condition. This is why psychiatrists are rampant in this country and get paid top dollar. People are living in hell. People have vices and addictions and things that they have not learned how to properly cultivate or overcome that have been ruling them their whole entire lives. So a man, I know brothers that's like 55 years old. I met a brother recently, beautiful brother in his 40s, don't know how to be faithful to one woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, not able to control your lower self, that animalistic behavior, that gossiping and cattiness and sabotaging and backbiting element that's in our country. I mean, amongst our people. And so we always say, well, black people, you can't trust black people. You can't trust niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is a cultural acclimate, if you will, within black people in America. And people from Africa come over here with that perception. You can't trust black people in America, especially the women. So the animalistic behavior, the higher self and the lower self, is heaven and hell. And just to kind of make this I told you I have a scientific mind. I did a lecture back in a couple of years ago. You have to excuse those bells on my computer. I have no idea how to turn them off. But I did a lecture a couple of years ago called "A Mental Genocide" in Atlanta. I'm not trying to pull you away from your religion. I don't want to make you turn away from God. I don't want to make you. That's not my goal. If you are an Israelite, if you are a Baptist, I grew up in a Baptist family, going to church every Sunday. If you are a Muslim, whatever your particular faith is, that's not my goal. I'm trying to broaden our perspective on the idea of God, on the idea of self, and get us out of this stuck and limited mindset and this this existence that we have grown to feel like suffering is the only way for us to live. Like, you have to suffer in order to pay your dues to God. I was reading a book, Osho, talking about yoga, and he was saying, you can't until you know suffering, you can't come to yoga or something like that. Like, what? What kind of God is that? What kind of reality? What kind of existence is that? And then Deuteronomy.
The creator.
The quote from the one I was telling y'all about, the Bible quote from
not many, like
Kendrick Lamar's album, where his family member comes on and says, "We are a cursed people." No, I'm not cursed. If you embrace that concept, then that is the reality of your existence. There are layers to the symbology of the scriptures. So whether they were talking about a certain people at that time, a certain people to come, or the one person who's reading the book in that moment, when you read the scriptures, it's a conversation with you as an individual and the Creator. So I don't take that stuff literally to mean I read this and it's saying I'm cursed. No, I'm not cursed. Have our people been through a significant experience that would allude to us being cursed? Yeah, I can see how people could make that assessment. But look at all the greatness that preceded that. In the time frame of God, slavery was a blip on the map. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, because I could literally, like, all these little points that I'm making, I could literally do like one full video. So I don't want you to think I'm all over the place, but I just want to. I'm already at 40 minutes, so I know I'm going to have to make these 2 videos, and it's all good. I don't mind. But I just wanted to to put that out there. So the idea of heaven and hell, I'm going to ask you, if you're a Christian or a Muslim, do you actually believe that heaven and hell are physical places? And I'm asking that because from a realistic and scientific perspective, there's no way possible that the amount of people that have lived on this planet and that die every single day and that are born every single day, that there could be a physical place where people actually burn in hell, or where people fly up or go to in a physical capacity called heaven. Now let me make this make sense. The circumference of the planet Earth is 24,896 miles. The diameter of the Earth is 7,926 miles, right? There's an estimated, in 2013, 7.25 billion people on the planet Earth. Now, if you cut the Earth in half and you look at the core of the Earth, which is what the diameter refers to, if there was a place where people physically were going to burn in hell underneath our feet, it would be in the core of the Earth. It is impossible for that amount of heat to be burning and tilling under our feet, and it is even more impossible for, if we took 10% of the population of those people, to be burning in hell right now. Now let me stop for a second. Mark chapter 9 verses 43 through 44 says, "And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having 2 hands go into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched, when their warm diet not, and the fire is not quenched." Are we talking about a physical fire, or are we talking about a symbolic, metaphoric fire? Matthew chapter 25 verses 41. "Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels." What does everlasting fire look like? Where is everlasting fire found? Is it in the inner? Is it in the earth? Is it in the outer core? Is it in the inner core? Are there people, like, I'm being serious, I'm not trying to be facetious or funny. Are there people right now in the core of the earth burning? Or are we talking about souls burning? And if we're talking about souls burning, how does a soul burn? How does fire burn a soul? How does a spiritual entity, whatever your concept of the soul is, because obviously we either are saying that it's physical, and we know that that can't be the case now, or we're saying that it is spiritual, or that it is a spirit or a soul. How does that entity burn? They say 5 million was the number of people in 8000 BC. This is the European number. We're going to ride with this because these numbers are pale in comparison to what the numbers actually would have been. So let's say there was 5 million people in 8000 BC. That's as far back as the European is giving credit to human beings being on the planet, even though we know that's not the case, that human beings, not apes, not Homo erectus, not Homo sapiens, not Homo sapiens sapiens, and human beings have been on this planet for millions of years. Actual fact. But anyway, so 5 million people, the number of people in 8000 BC. The current world population, let's say 7 billion. 107 billion is their estimate of number of people who have ever lived. And this was back from 2015, I think, when I did this lecture. So it's more now, but let's just stick with 107 billion. The number of people who have ever lived, right? 107 billion times 10%, we're going to estimate 10% of the people being sinners, being people who were not worthy of heaven, people who did wrong in their lives. 10%, it's a low number. 10% of 107 billion would be 10 billion 700 million people that would be physically burning in hell right now, forever. So my question to you, looking at those numbers, you know, we deal with science, we deal with actual fact, is heaven and hell a place, or is it a state of mind? If you live out your life in ignorance and in evil and sin, are you going to go to a place where your soul or your body is going to burn in flames forever? Or if you live a great life, or if you live a average life where you don't want to ruffle any feathers because you're striving to get to heaven, are you going to a place up in the sky that has some 90 plus billion people who are there waiting for you to come? Yeah, 90 plus billion. I think that's the number. But you get, 90 billion. That's minus the 10%. So 90% of the people who've ever lived obviously went to heaven. So if they went to heaven, they're somewhere, right? If they are still physical beings. I'm saying this understanding that this may disturb some people who think that they're going to heaven and that they're going to see past relatives, past loved ones, and things like that. I do believe that we are going to connect with our loved ones on another plane, but it's not going to be a physical connection. We're talking about collective consciousness. We're talking about that divine essence that makes all things, that energy and that matter that is moving everything, and that is at the source of everything. So our collective consciousness goes back into the bowl, if you will. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I don't want to lose you, because I know that I'm talking to people here and I'm talking to people here, and I want to be able to talk to you, and even myself. We got to take back accountability and responsibility for our lives. We've given all of our power over to everything outside of ourselves. So in line with what Ra Nefer Amen said in his in the Meduneter, or in the other book, there are two states of mind and body. I got this from a organization called the Heart Math Institute. I've been studying their work for the past few months, studying the concept of coherence between the mind and the heart, the brain, and the heart, in order to, back to the concept of mastering self and being in line with the collective consciousness. So the two states of mind and body, the animal state of mind and body, so it's not just the animal applies to the body and the divine applies to the mind. No, the animal applies to the mind and the body, and the divine applies to the mind and body as well. Survival, stress, contraction. You can either expand or you can contract. Expand or contract. Contraction disease, imbalance, breakdown, degeneration, fear, anger, sadness, selfish, environment, body, time, referring to being more so ruled by the body and the senses opposed to being governed by your higher self. Um, Energy loss, emergency, always in emergency mode. Object focus, I want this, I need this, I gotta have that. Separate, reality determined by senses, cause and effect, limited possibilities, incoherence, and only focusing on the known. Now, in Medu Netter, the brother talks about the subjective and the objective realities of God. So the subjective is the unseen. All of the things that we know are there, but we can't really prove are there. The unseen, the subjective divine consciousness of the Creator, of God, of Allah. And then the objective being the things that we can see. Me sitting here talking to you. This computer, this chair that I'm sitting on, my phone, the books, my water, the paper. This is the objective world, right? So the divine concept, creation, homeostasis, expansion, anabolism, health, order, repair, regeneration, love, joy, trust, no, gratitude, selfless, no thing, nobody, no time. Now let me pause there because I used to struggle with that concept of being no thing, nobody, no time. Like that, it makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like I'm here in this physical body. What do you mean, nobody, no time? But as I've gotten more confident in my meditation, I've realized that once you get to the point where you can silence your mind and sit in a state of gratitude with a conscious ideal of being in that zone of God, being in that space of God, it's a whole nother level. And I'll have to do another video just talking about that because I'm trying to stay on point. Energy created, growth, repair, open focus, connected, reality beyond the senses, causing and effect, opposed to cause and effect, all possibilities, coherence, and unknown. So the animal portion of the two states of mind and body is what's ruling a lot of our community. It's what's definitely ruling the hood. Every single thing on that list, I could pinpoint and give 20 different explanations for each one. How many of us, from a divine perspective, are focusing on creating and being selfless? I always say being of service is one of the best things that you can do for yourself as well as other people, because I mean, for me, it gives me joy to be a servant to other people because I know that I'm serving the Creator. I've started reading and studying the teachings of Abraham Hicks and Esther and Jerry Hicks. Some of you guys may be familiar with them. Some of you may not. And I know there's, different controversies and whatnot about who these people are, this supposed prophet or some semblance of divine consciousness took over this white woman's body. But the wisdom that this woman drops, whatever entity is giving it to her, I have to bear witness to truth. Elijah Muhammad said, you bear witness to the truth no matter who it comes from. I have to bear witness to the wisdom that is found in a lot of their work. So I started studying this, and something that really, and I do recommend it, a lot of it's repetitive. I have like 3 of their books. A lot of it is repetitive, but it's basically talking about divine consciousness and growing into your higher self. So one of the things that she said one day, and I've heard this said in different ways, but the way she said it, let me put my camera up because I know I'll be making some weird faces. The way she said it, it was so powerful. She was talking about expanding the concept of God, and that we are here in this physical world, like Rob talked about the objective world. We are here to expand the Creator. Let me see if I can find this quote from him, where he talks about basically the subjective element of God, the unseen, the unknown, is limited, or unlimited, I should say. It's unlimited. Okay. The reason, therefore, this is on page 53. The reason, therefore, for the creation of the world, the differentiation of the original energy and matter into things, is to give the supreme being, that divine consciousness, the subjective, the unseen, experience. The subjective realm is life, the objective realm is living, being versus doing. The slightest thought, the faintest feeling is already an objectification of energy matter, a world into itself. Now, what is he saying? He's saying that by us being here, by me being here, by you being here, we are giving the supreme being, God, Allah, the divine mind, the source, whatever it is that you refer to it as, we are giving it experience. So we are expanding the creator. When she said that, I was like, that's deep. And it immediately gave me this strong sense of power. Because it's like, I'm not just here to, you know what I mean, get a job and have a child and get married and white picket fence. All of that is, you know what I mean, fine in a portion of creating. But the idea of expanding God, of expanding this beautiful universe, everything we do, everything we say, you listening to me right now is expanding the universe. It's going to make your mind, it's going to make thought travel. Somebody might write a book. Somebody might go research something I said and came back and said, no, that's not right. It's this. And then, you know, by all means, all praise is due to the creator. But the idea of expanding God, that was so powerful to me. And I was like, that's it. That is it. And so in this book, he basically reiterates a lot of that. I highly recommend this. This is not it's an advanced book. So, you know what I mean? If you haven't read,
you gotta know the creator.
I don't know. All of these books are kind of, I would say start with African Genesis, Bereshango. The Kabbalion is a little more advanced too. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get a list of books. I just kind of put together some books that I'm studying that I thought would be helpful for you guys, people who are ready. The Autobiography of a Yogi, Yogananda, very powerful book. I noticed that one of the things you're going to see in Professor Small's, I'm going to show a clip of it.
Organized form or shape beneath spirit. It is spirit that gives matter form, shape, structure, and organization. Spirit comes from the Hebrew word ruah, and we know Hebrew is a language that is formed by the old African Canaanite language and the Medu-Neter or the hieroglyph of Egypt. It is those two languages that gives birth to the language we call Hebrew. And so the word ruah in Hebrew, which also means breath or wind, spirit is the part of the human being that is invisible and is characterized by intelligence, personality, self-consciousness, and will. Spirit is characterized as life's energy. Energy means having the power by which anything acts effectively to move or change other things or to accomplish any results. So when we look sometimes, you know, we live in a Judeo-Christian system. So I use this sometimes to show us things. So there's 3 levels of being. The first level is spirit. The second is body, and the third is soul. Spirit is the mother principle. Body is the father principle, and soul is the child principle. Spirit is divine essence. Body is the material matter. The soul is your mind faculty, that consciousness that's built up that we call mind. These 3 levels in ancient Kemet was known to our ancestors as Asar, Aset, and Harut. The 3 principles are known today as the Holy Ghost, the Father, and the Son. We may see these 3 levels as woman, man, and children, or mother, father, and child. It is the concept of mother, father, and child. That is the symbol of God, not the individual. Right. See, the white man misunderstood the whole damn thing when he saw us using the mother, father, child. He thought the child, offspring, was the God who he called Jesus, which shows you how much he don't know. No, it is the 3 together that represents what we call God.
is how he talks about God relating to the man, woman, and child, and how he breaks that down. And I think the only issue that I have with Hinduism and certain spiritual gurus that come from that mindset is that they take that concept of man, woman, and child out of the equation. It's like the whole idea of expanding the creation, right, which is one concept, versus living your life to go back and be at one with the mind of the creator. So neglecting this physical world, neglecting the union between the man and the woman, neglecting the power in parenthood and the power between your interpersonal relationships with people, with human beings. We are the what did she call it? We are on the leading edge of thought, meaning that human beings are the highest form of physical manifestation of the creator, and everything that we do represents that, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. You know what I mean? So I think that and I've gotten a lot of benefits from this book. I'm not knocking it, and I know some people have studied this too, but I think that the feminine perspective is missing from this. And there's no knock against it. I was inspired by this book as well as other books. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is one of the other books that I'm looking at here that made me feel like I have to write a book that takes this wisdom and gives it a feminine voice, because it's lacking. And it's not just in Hinduism and certain elements of yoga and Taoism and whatnot. It's pretty much everywhere. So it's no knock against anybody, and I highly recommend this book. So in understanding the two stages of mind, right? The two states of body and mind. This brings us back to today. I was walking Stone Mountain, and I told you guys I saw this picture of a full crucifixion that was taking place on the top of the mountain. And so I'll show you the pictures here. I'm all high, I'm buzzing, I'm feeling great. Not high like weed high, but high like life is good, you know what I mean? Doing my thing, got up the mountain. It's a accomplishment in itself to get up the mountain. So I'm up there. I usually get up there, sit and quiet and, kind of people watch and look at all of the beautiful nature around me. And this is happening. And there's 3 men on the cross, and they have ink on their chests, red ink signifying the blood or whatever, and all of these people. And so they have the Roman guards around, and it actually looks like a crucifixion from back then, back in 2,000 years ago. And immediately my energy, my spirit, my mindset just dropped. I immediately became flustered and irritated. I wanted to sit down and do my normal meditation that I do on the side of the mountain when I come down. I couldn't do anything. I was frustrated. I was pissed off, because I felt like you're invading my space with.
But you gave them the power, sweetheart.
A reminiscing of a murder.
You gave her
I don't know whether it happened or not. I don't. You know what I mean? Like what?
You gave them the power. You gave your
what
power
is the whole concept of honoring
what it just did you.
A murder and the symbolism of death, the cross, wearing a chain with a murdered man hanging on your chest. And I'm not saying that to recuse you of doing that. If that's what you want to do, do it. But think about the symbology that we're talking about here. There's a quote. I got so many books. In Bear Shango's book, this brother. He's quoting Ridley. Let's see, who's Ridley? He just says Ridley.
That's why you won't get paid.
He says, we must realize that rituals, symbolism, superstition, and tradition have not freed African people, and it's not freeing African people in the diaspora. We wake up every morning as if it is the norm to be on the bottom the world over. And indeed, even though some of us wake up each morning like being on the bottom and servitude to white people is the norm, using symbols in place of ultimate reality or spiritual impulses produces a very, very frictional people who are continually in a state of conflict, jealousy, and rivalry. Now, what I present to you is that this symbolism, spiritual, religious symbolism of this murder on the cross and this man dying for your sins and you being in debt and in gratitude to him for the rest of your life And that being the key to your salvation and to you going on to heaven is what's keeping us subjected to this frictional state of being that keeps us in a state of conflict, jealousy, and rivalry. If your Christianity is not that Christianity, then all praise is due to the Creator. We need you. Barashango said, "It is absolutely impossible that the white man created the Bible. Why is the Caucasian version of the Bible so different from the original Bible? The Bible is an ancient African history book. Israelites were originally a jet black people from Africa who settled into Palestine. Many of us would never know anything about Ethiopia and Egypt without the Bible. The book can be useful. Nat Turner found a way to use it. Harriet Tubman found a way to use it. Dr. King, Brother Malcolm, Elijah Muhammad. We should use it because it's our book. You don't take something that someone else has taken from you and messed up and throw it away." I agree with him 100%. This book, the Bible, should be freeing you, not keeping you tied to a cross, a symbolic cross. And you do know that there are 66 missing books in the Bible, at least 66. Barashango said they burned up 700,000 books in Kemet. Elijah Muhammad said it was 60,000, 60,000, 700,000. If it was 10, well, not. You know what I mean? Like, they burned our wisdom. Every time they hit us, they went for the libraries. One way to cripple a people is to cripple their knowledge cripple their source of knowledge and science. 700,000 books in Carthage from the Romans destroyed. The Persians destroyed 500,000 books, and over 1 million books were hauled off. Semitic Arabians, the original Kushite Arabs in Arabia, burned so many books that it took 6 months for the fire to go out. Now, just think about this. These numbers sound astronomical to you. They don't to me. When you study African history and African culture, you know that these people were wise beyond anything we can imagine.
Right.
But if we had that amount of wisdom and that type of level of curriculum circulating amongst our people, how could in 2017 we be arguing about one book?
Right.
I'm being for real. Like, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books right here on the table. None of them the Bible or the Quran. Those are the two epicenters, if you will, for religious, the religious concepts. But I have both books. I study both books. But how is it possible that we had hundreds of thousands and millions of books and that we got to a space where we were limited and restricted to one book? Prophet Muhammad said, "Mere belief accounts for nothing except when it is carried into practice." Believing is not enough. Elijah Muhammad said, "Knowledge will defeat belief all day." It's not enough to just believe. You have to be living the type of life that Christ embodied if you call yourself a Christian. If you study Buddhism, you have to be living and aspiring to the Dharma. What is the Dharma, Zaza? The Dharma is teachings, truths, facts, and natural law. Buddha said, believe nothing, no matter where you read it or who has said it, not even if I have said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense. I mean, it don't get no clearer than that. One of the greatest spiritual concepts, ideologies. You see, I got the Buddha in the background, and somebody made a comment on the other video and said, you know, I'm always talking down on Christianity, but I got an idol in my background. What is an idol? You talking about a physical statue? Come on, man, that's cheap. Your money can be an idol. Ignorance can be an idol. The savage nature and how we treat each other can be an idol that you bow down and worship to, meaning you're submitting to your lower self. I have pictures of Moors in my house. I have, you know what I mean, a pyramid in my house. I have You know what I'm saying? I have all kind of different statues. I love culture. I love art from around the world. Are they all idols?
I'm just saying. These. The truth, period. Fuck all that bullshit.
We have a